Sabah everybody and welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to unbox the biggest iPhone we've ever had to date. This is the iPhone X or the iPhone XS Max. It's a very confusing name, but it is the biggest iPhone ever made. So we're going to check it out. We're also going to check out the brand new Series 4 Apple Watch, which also supports a bigger display. So it seems like 2018 for Apple is about bigger displays when trying to keep the bezels on a very, very short leash. This is TK. Let's check them out and we'll do a little bit of a comparison to other Android and iOS devices. I'm going to start off with both. Again, this is the XS Max, the biggest display that we have. If you probably have already heard this, we've seen this on somewhere online, this is actually not a planet, this is a bubble. That's how they were able to make this, but it's a clever and an ingenious way to be able to hide the fact that we still have a notch on the brand new iPhone. And this is the brand new Apple Watch Series 4, and I did get the Wi-Fi version, not the LTE variant, mostly because I do have another LTE watch and I don't need another LTE watch. I can pretty much live with this, and of course I still have my Samsung, basically the Galaxy Watch, so we'll do a comparison to that real quick when we get there. First things first, this is the device that we came to look at. We're going to go ahead and start with this unboxing here, and here we go. Now, as I mentioned to you guys, this is the 64 gig variant. I did not go for the gold one. For the most part, even if you guys have seen in my older videos on the iPhone, I like to go with the gray. So the gray one is always going to be the one I go for. Yeah, we got that sound. So, and here we are. First thing, of course, designed by Apple in California. We have some stickers, and of course, if not, the Apple stickers themselves. Nothing really big overall in here, other than the fact that it's telling us about the device. And here we are. Officially the biggest iPhone to date. And that's based on the fact that the display on this device is actually bigger than the display on this device, even though, for the most part, they hold the same footprint. So I'm trying to put them side by side. You know what? I take that back. The iPhone 8 Plus is actually slightly taller, but overall, same rough amount of footprint. So if you're used to holding this device in your hand, you're not going to have an issue with this guy. And of course, we lost the fingerprint sensor anymore now, and then the display is pretty much most of what we have in the front. Before we go too far, we have a power brick. Unfortunately, still not fast charging. So this will charge the device just fine, just not fast charging. We do have a USB Type A to USB Type to Lightning. Although, if Apple needs to be consistent in all reality, they should have made this USB-C to USB to Lightning, because most of their Apple products now are all USB-C. So I won't be able to connect this directly to my laptop without an adapter. Of course, supplied by Apple. Here we have the Lightning AirPods, but no adapter for the missing 3.5mm headphone jack. So for the most part, you're going to be using either these headphones or obviously the AirPods, of course, from Apple. Let's go ahead and take out the plastic. And here we are. The device definitely has some weight. Now, comparing it to weight-wise to the actual 8 Plus, they're pretty much about the same. They don't feel like they're that different in size. Now, the placement of the cameras in the back, of course, as you know, they've been placed similar to the way we had it with the iPhone X from last year. So they're more consistent when you're taking video or pictures in this format. The other thing that we also have, of course, here is that the LED and the microphone are all built into the same unit. So there's nothing actually outside of it anymore where we have them sitting to the side. So definitely will make it very nice and snug. Let's look on the right side. So on the right side, we still have basically the SIM tray supporting one SIM, although on the new one, we now support an eSIM as well as a standard SIM. So technically dual SIM support, but one of them has to be an eSIM. And then of course the power button here is a little bit bigger. So I'm wondering if this is... No, the power button is definitely bigger. So we definitely have a much bigger power button as well as the Siri initiation button here. On the top, we have one antenna band, nothing on the old one, of course, but this new one has that. And if you notice that the material that they're using, even though these are both the gray design, are slightly different, you'll notice this is more reflective. On the bottom, we have the bottom firing speakers, the lightning connector, as well as just the secondary speakers. Both of these devices support stereo speakers. We're supposed to be getting a much louder sounding earpiece. And of course, what we get here, the front-facing sensor is now to the right of the actual earpiece, as well as where we have it slightly smaller. But you can definitely see that we still have that notch right there. Let's go ahead and power it on. Now, real quickly talking about specifications, the display on this device, even though it holds almost the same footprint as the 8 Plus, is basically a lot bigger. This is a 6.5-inch display to a 5.5-inch display. Now, keep in mind, obviously, we lost all the bezels, we lost the fingerprint sensor, we lost the little top and bottom forehead and chin here, which are massive. But because of these two, we're able to say, I like this, marhaba. we're able to get a much bigger display, and then of course the notch compensates for that. We have a dual 12 megapixel sensors in the back with a 7 megapixel camera running on the front. We have iOS 12 built and shipped with this. This one has been updated to iOS 12, so you can see the notification grouping that we have here. And of course, the other thing that we have here, of course, is we have a rated supposedly a 3300 milliamp battery, but we also have the rating of IP68 now on this device, where we had IP67 on this one. And of course, there's different variants. There's the 64, 128, and then, there's the 64, 256, and 512 gigabyte of internal storage. I only picked up the 64, mostly because I offload a lot of my images and a lot of the information that I have directly onto the cloud. And of course, powering this entire beast is the brand new A12 Bionic chipset, which is definitely an upgrade from the A11 Bionic that we have here on the 8 Plus. So a quick size comparison with the brand new Note 9. This is a 6.4-inch display. This is a 6.5-inch display. You can definitely see we definitely have a bigger display, smaller bezels. Let's go and turn on the display. On this, as we have, by comparison, the chin and the forehead on the Note is a little bit more prominent, but again, this is still considered to be the biggest device that they had, the biggest display that they carried on Samsung. This is just what we have on our iPhone. Now, I can't go and compare screen sizes without comparing it to the beast that's in the house, and that's the brand new Honor 10. This guy is at 6.95 inches, and you can definitely see that it dwarfs basically the size of the iPhone. But again, compared on the device. If you're going for an iPhone, this is going to be the best that you can get. But as far as Android, if you're going for the biggest size device that you can hold in the hand, that it's very functional, the Note 10 is actually a very good contender, and it has some really good specifications to boot. I'll give you guys a link in the description below if you'd like to check out a video that I did unboxing this and giving some samples out of the stereo speakers on this. Now, you may be aware or may not be aware of this. As you start setting up your new iPhone, your old iPhone by default starts recognizing it, and I can actually start setting it up, and it recognizes my information here, so I can actually have it transfer directly and set up my new device. So definitely a really good plus to have that auto detection. So waiting for the other phone. So let's go ahead and put that little Galaxy in there and connecting. So that process took about maybe 6 minutes. Very nice, very cool. Doing iOS to iOS update, it's actually very cool, very simple. It does the transitioning very easy for me. I didn't have to set up my account, it's already in there. And it transitioned, not only that, and I was able to set up the Face ID on this one, since Touch ID doesn't work anymore. Again, the display, as we mentioned, is the brand new 6.5. I'm going to say allow, yeah. And then of course, swiping from the right, we have access to the control center, where we have it here at the bottom. Of course, pressing and holding gets us a little bit more information, and now we can actually go in under the Do Not Disturb. This is again part of iOS 12, and of course gives us access to it. So press and hold to the center gives us access to the recent applications. Now, these gestures obviously don't work on the existing. Anything that has a fingerprint sensor on the front will not have these gestures built in. The iPhone 10 will have it, the 10s, the 10s Plus, the 10s Max will have it, as well as the new 10R that's coming out. So those are the things you're going to keep in mind. But other than that, I think it's pretty good. Let's do a quick front-facing and back-facing camera now. We'll go ahead, yes, can access location, yes. The difference in camera application right now is a big difference that a lot of us will not notice, but we can now start recording in stereo on our iPhone. Historically, it's been plagued with the fact that we can only record up to basically mono audio, and if I ever edit the video, I always have to copy the mono over to the right and left channel for us to be able to have stereo speaker sound quality out of a video coming out of the iPhone. We no longer need that. Now all of that stuff is in there. Time-lapse is built in, slow-mo, video, photo, portrait, square, and pano. Again, all the same mode that you normally expect here. As the camera sensors, for the most part, from last year to this year, did get an improvement, but we're still supporting the two 12 megapixel sensors in the back. The options to be able to set up what the camera can and cannot do, unfortunately, is still present under here. You have to go under camera, and then this is where you'll be able to set up the options as far as what you can, as far as the speed. So as far as recording video, 1080p, we can go to all the way to 4K at 60 frames per second, 30, 24, 60 frames per second on 1080p, 30, as well as 720 at 30, and of course the low light options. Slow-mo recording at 1080p, we can go all the way up to 240 frames per second, and of course the format automatically it goes to high efficiency, but you can go to most compatible, of course, which makes it H.264 compliant. Keep normal photo, of course, if you want to keep that in there, or of course using the smart HDR options. But again, keep in mind that all of these things are not built into the camera app. These are actually built in directly into, unfortunately, the settings tab. So we'll go here. And of course, now we can just swipe over. So let's do a quick front-facing and back-facing video. quick front-facing video using the front-facing camera. Again, we're supposed to have stereo sound now on this video, as well as the fact that we have it on the back. So again, quick sample and a handheld, no gimbal. Now we're using the back-facing camera. Now, although it's capable of going to 4K at 60 frames per second, I am keeping it at 1080p at 60 frames per second, mostly just to keep it consistent with the rest of the time flow of this video. But again, stereo sound finally on our brand new iPhone. I'm downloading the YouTube application. One of the things that I was surprised that they did not mention at all in the actual announcement is the fact that we still obviously have wireless charging. So if your device, if you're worried about that, it still is supported. The glass back is definitely the reason why we have that. And of course, you'll see that little lightning there if you want to be able to charge it using any Qi-enabled wireless charger. And again, one of the brand new features that they also announced is the ability to basically use this as a ruler. So let's go ahead and do this here. And you can pretty much see right there, I was using the OnePlus 6 and it's basically very easy to measure and add new measurement using the brand new cameras on the OnePlus 10. Now a quick sample of the sound just to basically get how the sound audio is going to be playing on this brand new iPhone 10. You still have the slider, as I mentioned to you guys before, the volume rocker right there. And let's go ahead and bump up the audio all the way to 100%. Now I wouldn't recommend you playing this for a really long time, but just to hear how the sound plays. So the sound is coming in from the top speaker, not the bottom one. This is just playing straight from the top earpiece. And of course, for comparison purposes, here's the iPhone 8 Plus, just for sound comparison. So it's definitely a little bit louder, so definitely better audio coming out of a brand new iPhone XS Max. So the XS and the XS Max are both supporting the same new louder speakers that we have. Basically an improvement on what we had with the stereo speakers here on the iPhone 8 Plus. Let's go ahead and unbox real quick the new Apple Series 4 watch. Here we are. So the box itself this year is a little bit different. There's basically some tabs here that we need to take out. Let's go ahead and oh, I see. It unboxes this way. So let's go ahead, we'll fold the tab here. Open, open. Again, this is the Wi-Fi variant, the 44mm variant. There's two different versions of it. So when you open it, just be careful. This actually is the outer shell. So flip it over so that you don't actually take out the box by mistake and drop your watch. Two things you'll notice right there. They do have some nice designs here in the box of some of the older Apple Watches, as well as some of the other designs that are available currently with the different bands and different settings. So you'll notice right there, there's two boxes within that package. The bands are sitting here and the watch is sitting in this one. So just go ahead and open it up very easily and hopefully don't drop your watch. Right there, actually, it's, oh man, it's nice. It's very nicely tucked in. It does say 44mm. It has a little container here for it. Basically just information on how to set it up and basically general use information. We have the wireless charger, although magnetic, directly here, and of course a wall connector to be able to charge your brand new Apple Watch. And this is again the Series 4. Let's go ahead and, I guess I should go this way. And I accidentally turned it on. But again, the connector, the brand new heart rate sensor, the brand new digital crown with actual vibration motor on it. Again, I kept consistency. I went with space gray because I want to make sure that the watch and the phone match. And of course, I like to have everything kind of looking really nice. So again, 44mm, magnetic, no question about that part. And it is proprietary, so you cannot charge this with other chargers. And of course, here are the bands. There's 3 bands, obviously, for small and large. I'm going to go straight with the large one, as I've used the Series 3 before, and I know pretty much that the small one will not fit my hand. And just remove the plastic off of this. And that's the other main benefit about this is setting it up is going to be pretty easy. You can actually only put them in one spot. So once you have them in there, they're pretty much set. And then at this point, all it's asking us to do, it's asking us to actually right there, turn on our iPhone. And of course, in standard typical Apple fashion, the setup process is exactly as simple as setting up our iPhone this year. So I'll go ahead and click it. It's going to start syncing with it, and the process will go through the exact same process. You just need to take this little almost QR reader, and let it scan over the Apple Watch, let it focus, and once it recognizes that, it's going to set up the watch and it'll go through. You'll notice it's mirroring what we have here. So as this is going through, just going to go do a quick comparison. Now, this is the brand new Galaxy Watch. Now, this is a 46 millimeter, this is a 44 millimeter watch, so just keep in mind that this is going to be a different band. You are able to buy basically or use some existing bands from the original Series 1, 2, or 3 Apple Watch. They're all compatible. And of course, the design is a lot bigger. You'll notice the display is bigger than what we've had it before. It's closer to the edge. And of course, we have the brand new digital crown that has a built-in vibration motor for more precise tuning. So that's a little different as well. There is an LTE variant of this, as well as there's an LTE variant of this one, but they're both wireless, Wi-Fi variant. This one's more circular, and even though we have a digital crown here, we actually have a little bit of a jog dial here that gives us access to be able to scroll through the UI. So now switching over to the watch, the Apple Watch basics, so the display, the digital crown, the side control. Digital crown, you're able to basically scroll down, go into the applications, press and hold to talk to Siri, so you can press and hold it to initiate Siri. Last but not least is turn the jog dial to be able to scroll different images. And then side button, which is right here, press to be able to go to the Recents application, double click to open Apple Pay, and press and hold to be able to do the medical emergency in case you drop. That was one of the other options that they did mention here, that the new Apple Watch Series 4 does have basically drop detection. And of course, that little vibration just tells me it's done. Here it is, the brand new watch. Allow weather to access your information. Yes, we'll just say here. So this is going to basically set up. You can customize all these different dials, and of course, just see all the information. So basically, from either progress or against your rings, as far as the temperature, and of course the UV meter here. And of course, if I want to just click it once, that takes me into activity, weather, heart rate, basically music controlled, messages, timer, calendar, maps, of course, as well as all applications that gives us access here. And I can still do the whole zooming in, zooming out option, and of course kind of just trying to select which app I would like to use. Very easy, very simple. Now, as they mentioned, pressing it once just takes us directly into the app. Closing it, press and hold. What's the weather like today?
Nice weather coming up today.
Okay, very nice, extremely, really loud, but you could definitely appreciate the small bezel on the device and the fact that the watch is a lot bigger, even though for the most part it held pretty much the very similar footprint as the old watch. Feels very nice. The band is very sturdy, easy to install, again replaceable with any band that you'd like, and you can also pick up the LTE variant of this. Now, double pressing, this should take, yep, this takes us to set up the Apple Pay if you have it. Pressing it once takes you into the recent applications. You can actually scroll through, and then press and hold takes you directly into the emergency or the power off option to be able to either call SOS or directly turn it off. Of course, pressing the digital crown takes you back in. My initial impression of both those devices, definitely a leap forward in what we need from iPhones as far as brand new design, brand new aesthetics. We definitely have now a big display, a 6.5-inch display on an iPhone, which at one point this was considered to be a tablet size. The new Apple Watch is definitely much bigger, very nice, very easy to use, and the setup process now on the new iPhone is way better than we've had it in the past. It detects another iPhone that's sitting next to it and sets itself up the same way you set up your Apple Watch. So very easy, very simple to get yourself running without even having to touch a PC. Of course, if you want to restore your applications, you do need to still do that by doing a restore either from your iCloud or directly from your PC using iTunes. I'm really excited to be able to check out these two devices. Definitely a really good upgrade. Form factor is definitely much better for me. Last year's iPhone 10 was an issue for me because it was the size of the iPhone 8, but with a display that was closer to the iPhone 8 Plus. So that was kind of the confusion for me. It still felt like it was a small device in the hand, even though it was a bigger display within that. Where now we have a bigger display and a bigger body, so definitely very appreciated. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. What are the things you'd like me to focus on, of course, for the brand new iPhone as well as the Apple Watch. But other than that, thank you very much for the support. Like and subscribe as usual, and I'll see you guys in the next video.